Morning, morning, welcome, a warm welcome to our bosoms. Yeah. Now I've got a slightly runny nose.
Oh yeah.
And my lips are dry.
No, I might sneeze.
I don't think I can go on. Oh, poor, cancel it.
Oh yeah. No,
Stop.
Sunday chat today.
No, we're joking. I've got my Vivid Balm from Vivi Gregory of What Vivi Did Next, and I've got my tissues, courtesy of Little.
Yeah, they are. They are. They've got balsam.
I have to have a tissue. I've tried handkerchiefs. No, I would get through so many. I would need 20 a day.
Yeah, do you remember Mum? Mum was always had a handkerchief, and it was tucked up in her
Me
one
too.
or other cuff.
Me too.
You know, it always was.
I've always got a tissue in my pocket.
And there was whenever you went into the washing machine when Mum had done a wash, there was always one or because her what were you talking about? Her handkerchiefs were sort of quite delicate and thin. They weren't like Dad's, but when you went into the washing machine, there was always one or two stuck to the drum somewhere, and you had to sort of go, like, "Mum, here we are."
Yeah. Right. God.
Oh dear.
So welcome, bloody welcome to the show, which is called
Sunday Chat.
Yeah. So, whoa, what a week.
What a week.
What a
roller coaster.
Well, I wouldn't say it was a roller coaster,
Oh,
frankly.
it was.
I don't
it was.
think
It was
so.
tumultuous. That's
I wouldn't describe it as that either.
Well, I would.
Well,
I
in
would.
your world, perhaps, but not in my world. I like to keep things on a bit of a level
Yeah.
without freaking out.
Oh yeah, I wasn't freaking out.
Well, you make it sound as though you were freaking out, Paul.
No, it was just sort of lots of... The thing is, when your partner's going through something, you know, you try and remain calm, but inside you're sort of like roiling, and I was roiling with rage at one point. I really was. But yeah, anyway, there we are. There we are.
Well, I'm glad you could go on.
I could
That's
go on, and
lovely.
I'm going to go on. Yes.
So, what is on the agenda for this week? Let's have a look in the book. Yeah. It's not the 11th of August. No.
No, it's definitely not.
There we are.
Gosh, think the 11th of August
Oh!
is almost 6 months ago.
So we're filming on Saturday.
Oh, yes, yes.
Pinch
And
punch, first of the month.
You're lucky it's before noon, though, because if you did that afternoon, you'd be the fool.
That's April Fool's Day, Paul.
No, it's the same thing. I'm sure.
Oh.
I'm sure my brothers and I, it was always like...
Don't.
I think it was just a sort of reason for them to pinch me and punch me, really.
Is it going to be another day of verbal diarrhea,
Oh, yeah,
Paul?
sorry, no, I'll shut up. Yeah.
So, yes, welcome. And...
Where does that come from?
What? Pinch
punch first of the
month. I've got absolutely no idea.
Not me.
Those of you who don't know can do the Googling.
Googly.
Do the Googling and find out. I'm sure there's a lovely story attached to that,
I'm sure there is.
but I just can't be asked.
Yeah.
No. So, just first of all, want to say a big thank you to all the lovely messages that we've had of support this week, which has been a little bit overwhelming, to be honest. And there is no way I can get back to you all.
No.
So, thank you. Thank you from the bottom. And we'd also like to extend a big thank you to Sharon, and we're going to kick off with that because I just want to show you a small selection of what the lovely Sharon has sent to us. Sharon has gifted us in a beautiful way with some absolutely gorgeous things, all of which will be used and consumed.
Every single one.
And played with.
Yes.
So, you might have heard that we mentioned a while back that we were really into celestial seasonings. Sharon has sent us 1 billion boxes
Yes.
of celestial seasonings that will probably last us at least a year, I would have thought.
Yes, I would have thought so.
A small selection, country peach passion. Oh,
We're having at the moment tangerine orange zinger, which is an absolute favourite.
Bengal spice.
Bengal spice,
Look
that's
at the-
my favourite.
Look at the illustration. I don't know whether you can see that because it's got cellophane on it, but it's absolutely gorgeous. That's one of the things we like about these teas, the lovely illustrations. Cinnamon apple spice.
Oh yes.
Jammin lemon ginger. That's just a small selection of what she got us. And these delightful freeze-dried fruits,
Yeah.
which absolutely ideal for my cereal in the morning.
Our cereal in the morning. His cereal in the morning.
And strawberries
Yum.
as well. Sharon also sent us a little selection of 3 bags of sweeties.
Old style sweet shop sweeties.
Blackjacks, fruit salad, and boiled sweets.
Boiled sweets, yeah. Boiled sweets, my absolute
What did they used
favourite.
to do, Paul?
Used to go woo 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 like that. Yeah. They were all yeah. They just knew how to do that and sort of seal it up, and then it would be handed over, and it would be that little sort of precious treasure that you would have for, in my case, most probably a day. In Richard's case, a couple of minutes, I think, before they were eaten.
Sharon also gifted us a games compendium,
Fab. Lovely.
which looks as though it's never been played.
Which will be lovely for train journeys. Hopefully we're going to be doing more train journeys
we
at
hope.
some point.
And also, because she was having a clear out and thought we might like these, this is like the dice version of Scrabble. So these will be played,
Yeah,
I can assure you.
definitely.
So we just really wanted to say a big thank you to
Yeah,
Sharon.
huge
that was,
thank you.
It was really touching to receive that gift because of the week that we've kind of had,
Yeah.
which has been a little bit stressful.
I cried.
Yeah.
This big box arrived, and I was upstairs at my desk, and you brought it in, and you sort of went into the middle room, and I had to go back to my desk, and I came down, and you were unpacking it,
Well, yeah.
and I just saw everything that was in it, and I cried. I did. I just thought it was so thoughtful, because every single thing in the box, as you've said, is something we will use.
Yeah, just lovely.
Yeah. So thank you very much, Sharon. Thank you enormously.
So that was a little highlight for the week to balance out some of the lowlights.
Yeah. Oh, and the same day I went to the library. I don't think I told you this. I found 2 £1 coins outside the library. So knowing that we're going to have to sort of cut back a little bit, I kept one of them and I donated one to the library. So
You could have donated one to me.
No, well, I think it went into the tyre pressure thing, really.
What do you mean it went into the tyre pressure thing?
When we did our tyres, because you had to pay £1 for the tyres, so yeah, that's where it was going to go. But I put it in the drawer and forgot it was there. Anyway, yeah.
So to catch up, just very briefly, if you want to see more about this week and this subject, go and see my vlogs. But I left my job. I quit my job after nearly 18 years for various reasons. But yes, go and have a look at my vlogs if you want to know more about that. I'm not going to harp on about it. I'm not going to make a meal out of it any further. But yes, that's it.
So we might be together 24/7 for the rest of our lives.
You hope. That's if you don't end up under the plants.
Yes, that could happen.
So, yes. So, we usually kick off with Rich and Paul's weather report, but we'll be doing that in a moment. We've just got a couple more thank yous to say. Thank you to everybody who follows us on Facebook and our Facebook group, Planet Vegetaria. There has been some sort of negative stuff about Facebook
And Meta.
recently, and
Yeah.
Meta. We're not leaving Facebook as yet. It could be a possibility in the future, but we wanted to sort of remind you that, general Facebook, to be honest with you, we don't really use.
No, not really.
But we do post to Richard and Paul, and we do post to our Facebook group, Planet Vegetaria. That's a Facebook group by Richard and Paul. Richard and Paul since 2017. That's contractual. And we also wanted to sort of remind you that, if you are in a Facebook group, you don't have to partake in the general Facebook stuff. You can just go straight to the group, which will bypass all of the general
Rubbish.
Facebook crap that people sort of aren't getting along with.
If you choose to leave, that's of course your own decision, and we respect that. But we hope that Planet Vegetaria is a haven amidst, I must say, a swamp of, I said this the other day, ill-meaning people and corporations. But we want to keep Planet Vegetaria in particular a haven for as long as we can. Other people have suggested other platforms, including quite a few other platforms. The problem is, as soon as a platform grows, as one platform has grown in particular, they need money to expand it and to keep the services going. So that company is looking for money now to be able to keep itself going. Where will that money come from? It will come from investors, and at the end of the day, investors want to earn money from their investments. So we're staying with Planet Vegetaria where it is at the moment. Doesn't mean we won't move at another point. And of course, you can also go to Coffee, which is a very small company actually behind it, where we post regularly there as well. So there are options. We'll see how the months go.
Yeah, we are planning on sort of increasing our content in the next few weeks. Hopefully bringing you more cookery, more outings. We're going to see what we can fit in. We probably are going to experience the need to tighten our belts financially at some point. So we're not going to be able to bring you all singing, all dancing content because, we're not that sophisticated, I'm afraid.
I'm happy to sing.
I'd rather you didn't.
You could dance.
I can't dance to save my life. I can do awkward dancing very easily.
So awkward singing, in fact terrible singing and awkward dancing, we could bring you that.
Yeah. So, we'll be looking at giving you more as time goes on, simply because I have got more time on my hands. I don't intend to throw myself into another conventional job over my dead body. Am I going to do that? So, we're going to be, as we've said before, kind of living as we do, hand to mouth. I wasn't earning that much anyway, so, but yes, it's an interesting journey.
Yeah.
That's the way you've got to look at it. Many people have said, good luck on your next phase of your adventure, whatever that may be. So that's the way you've got to look at these situations. But also, as I've said in my vlogs, we're also a bit fortunate because we've got a little bit put aside and we have the capital of this house. So, we're in a good position, unlike many other people. So we are, we realise that we're privileged in that respect.
Yeah. And of course it will mean that Richard will have much more time to get to the allotment and do digging and sowing and harvesting and building and all of those things.
I can't sadly do that, Paul, because of my back. Sorry. No, seriously, I've had some big twinges in my back recently, which have not been particularly pleasant. Yeah. So, interesting week. And an interesting few weeks that have kind of led to this point. Some sort of weirdness going on. We talked about that last week, you know, the feeling that something is going to change, something is going to be new. And I mentioned on my vlogs as well about the new moon in Aquarius. And when I read about the new moon in Aquarius, I was kind of like, what? Really? This is exactly what I'm going through now. And of course, we're going into, or this period, this moment in time is classed as Imbolc, which is the moment between the winter solstice and the spring equinox. It's that moment in between that.
So we've just in the Celtic calendar gone from winter to spring.
So it's kind of, you know, a time of new beginnings, a time of life being resurrected, all of that, you know. So it's an interesting time to be starting new things. So hopefully we're going to sort of grasp that energy and move with it and see where it takes us. Hurrah!
Yay!
That's all I can say. Always try and see the positive side of things.
Yeah, there's usually one. Without
being too manic about it. I think be quietly confident that, and I've said this before, that you'll get what you need at the time, but you've got to try and look for it and seek it out.
Seek those opportunities.
It's not going to come to you. That's why that whole manifesting thing is always explained in a really strange way, as though things are just going to appear and happen. You know, that phrase, everything comes to he who waits. I kind of never got on with that phrase.
No, it's not the waiting.
I don't believe it. You know, you've got to seek these things. You've got to push forwards yourself.
And be open to opportunities.
Open, but apply the energy, you know, and try and go with it. And, you know, we all know that nothing really comes unless you work hard at something. So we're two people who aren't afraid of hard work, so, you know, but we're also mindful of not getting burned out.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's a balance. But having the luxury of extra time to achieve that balance is a good thing. So we're fortunate. So, hey ho. Lovely la la doodah. And everything else. So, also, last week we talked about going to the wassail.
Oh, yeah.
So we've posted stuff on Instagram about that, and also in my vlogs, and you've mentioned it.
It will be in a week at the plot.
How did the day go, Paul, from your point of view?
It was so wet. It really was wet. And the people who came really enjoyed it. Hook Eagle Morris turned up in their numbers, which was fabulous. We were expecting maybe sort of 80, 100 people. I think we got 30, 35, somewhere around that. And I know a lot of people were put off because it was so wet.
Oh, it was horrendous.
But we did, we were in the Great Green Barn, which of course is dry and warm, which is absolutely great. And then we went across the road for those people who wanted to join the wassail. So we wassailed in the orchard. That was only about maybe 10 minutes because it was so wet.
So for those people who maybe don't know what wassailing is, how would you describe it?
Well, first I would say, you know, why weren't you watching last week?
Well, you might have seen my blog where I do
but
talk about
yeah,
it. Vanessa, in fact, features in the vlog as well.
Right, yes.
Yeah.
So a wassail is a ceremony of singing and chanting and making lots of noise in an orchard, in a cider apple orchard in particular, but any orchard will do. And it basically to wish the trees health for the year and for their harvests. And the noise making at the end is to scare any evil spirits away from the orchard. So it's an old tradition. It goes back many centuries, and it's just a sort of enjoyable thing to do in what is the UK's midwinter, even though we've just talked about Imbolc. So yeah, after the wassail, we went back into the Great Green Barn, and there were lots of sort of hot drinks and spanakopita, the spinach and feta pie, sausage rolls, soup and roll, mulled cider. So it was really nice and warm. And Hook Eagle Morris continued to dance in the Great Green Barn as they did last year as well. So it was a good afternoon. Last year we went on till about 4 o'clock. This year we went on till just before 3 because it was wet and people wanted to get back to their homes. So yeah, it was a lovely afternoon. It's slightly disappointing because of the numbers, because of course it's even though we don't charge tickets, a fee to do the wassailing and come, we hope we're going to earn from the refreshments that we have. So lower numbers mean lower refreshments sold. But the good thing is it's a lovely community event, and even though we had smaller numbers this year, it was good. So yeah, and Vanessa enjoyed it. So yeah.
So talking about things like Imbolc and wassailing, all of that, let's have a little look at what the almanac says. What's coming up in February. Let's have a look. This is a lovely, lovely almanac, which was gifted to us by Jill. Thank you, Jill. So
I'm having a tangerine orange zinger.
Oh yeah, that's what we're drinking at the moment.
Yeah, but you do that. Yeah.
Well, I've got my drink as well, Paul.
Yeah, but if I drink mine, I might drink yours as well.
It's lovely. It's so nice. So the 1st of February is St. Bridget's Day. And there is actually a little crafting thing in here which I had a go at the other day with pipe cleaners.
Oh, it's
a St. Bridget's cross.
It's weaving reeds, isn't it? Weaving reeds.
I tried it with the instructions weren't very clear, but I tried it with pipe cleaners and just to have a go, and it was quite fun. So the 1st and 2nd of February, Imbolc, celebration of the beginning of spring, the cross quarter day. Oh, and it's the start of LGBTQIA plus History Month as well. The 2nd is Candlemas. The 3rd is St. Bridget's Day Bank Holiday in Ireland. And of course, St. Valentine's Day is the 14th. It's Pancake Day as well.
Pancake Day, Shrove Tuesday.
They've not mentioned Shrove Tuesday in here.
Is it Shrove? Is April late this year? Is Shrove Tuesday in March? No, it can't be. No, it's got to be.
February, isn't
it's got to be in February, yeah.
Then the 15th is Lord Buddha's, I can't pronounce that, Parinirvana Day. And then 28th is start of Ramadan, which begins at the sighting of the crescent moon. So, lovely. So it's a sort of special month, February. And of course, we're leaving behind January.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the most important thing, isn't it? Because everybody dislikes January. Who likes January?
I don't mind January.
I don't like January.
I don't mind January.
No, I don't want it.
I don't mind.
Remove it from the calendar.
And we've also just had Chinese New Year as well.
Have we?
The last couple of days.
Oh,
yeah.
Lovely.
A few days ago.
Oh, and it's the snake, isn't it? Year of the snake. Yeah. And I think that's quite special. I read something about that being auspicious in terms of moving forward and planning and stuff. So, yeah, I think it's a really auspicious time. That's the way I like to look at it. I'm getting my zinger.
And of course, it's all around, again, light coming back to the planet. You know, the days getting longer, the days getting milder.
Well, light coming back to the Northern Hemisphere.
Northern Hemisphere, the Southern Hemisphere is obviously going the other way. But yeah, it's intriguing. It's intriguing. I wonder if are there any Aboriginal? There must be Aboriginal and other sort of heritage tribes in the Southern Hemisphere that have their own festivals and important dates.
I mean, somebody said about the Morris dancing when I posted, I think on Instagram. You know, this is kind of a form of, it's our traditional dance.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of a little bit wacky when you really think about it, but a lot of the different regions of the UK have got their own sort of type of Morris dancing, and apparently the roots are Moorish dancing.
Right.
That's where the root comes from. So it's been imported at some point, but I'm quite sure the ancient people had their own forms of ceremony, because we have the evidence, don't we, in terms of things like Stonehenge and Avebury and the stone circles, which were clearly markers of the year.
Yeah.
In some way. Celestial calendars.
Yeah. And important celebratory places of
Yeah.
pilgrimage as well.
Exactly.
Yeah.
All very interesting stuff. And of course it's working with the cycle of nature rather than making something up to fit a belief.
Right, yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Which is really what the religions have done.
Well, yeah, organised religion has just raped and pillaged, old religions and old ways, really. So.
Well, yes, I wouldn't say raped and pillaged, Paul. I mean, hijacked, perhaps.
Wow.
Really. So, let's see what else we're talking about today, Paul.
The weather.
The weather. We've forgotten the weather report. Better get on with it. So, it's pretty grey.
It's grey. We've had another sort of grey blanket. On Thursday, we went out to the Chilterns because it was a glorious day. It was blue skies, sunny, fluffy clouds, really lovely, mild. We're now at that period of time where it could come back, but the cold days have are a little bit behind us. Still getting to cold nights, still getting to like 1 degree and 0 degrees over the coming weeks. But fortunately, the days are sort of 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 degrees looking forward. So that's good, because I don't know, that sort of bite, if you have the biting cold in the day and then you have the biting cold at night, it just really does drag you down. Or it drags me down, certainly.
Well, it kind of gets into the house and,
And into your bones.
Yeah, it does, especially when we had the wind. That storm. I mean, the house was starting, even though the temperatures weren't that low, the house was starting to cool down because the wind gets in.
Yeah.
I'm glad to see the back of January. I just hope we don't get a raft of storms again, like we did a few years ago with the Beast from the East, didn't we? When was that?
Early mid-March.
That was March.
Yeah,
so
it was about the 8th to the 9th, 10th of March.
It can still be very unsettled. I mean, I've said it before and I'll say it again. It doesn't really seem to settle down until June. Really.
Yeah.
But we have had, if you remember, really good Februaries.
We have. I remember being in going to a company that I used to work with at White City, and I was in just a sort of shirt in mid-February because it was like 13, 14 degrees. The sun was out, so you felt much warmer. So, yeah. I had a coat with me, but I didn't have to wear it out.
The sun was feeling pretty warm on Thursday.
It was.
Although, do you remember we got to the top of the hill?
I was just about to say this. Yeah.
And it was frozen ground.
Yeah, it was frosty and frozen.
Yeah.
Because the sun hadn't got round to that area yet, and it's an area that doesn't get an awful lot of sun, so of course it frosts and freezes relatively quickly.
Whereas everything lower down was all muddy.
Absolutely.
So,
yeah.
So there we go. That's the weather. Very dull at the moment. Hoping for some brightness at some point. I think next week's going to be fairly nice. So I think we should plan a couple of trips out if we can.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Because we can do that now.
Well, we can, but I still have my desk that I need to be at and do my work. Yeah.
Paul,
Yeah.
don't be
Just
so
because
serious.
you're unemployable, it doesn't mean that
I am unemployable completely. So anybody looking out there trying to think, Richard, I'll give Richard a job. I am unemployable. Sorry. So Paul, you wanted to mention AI.
Yeah.
I've often thought I think I'm probably quite artificially intelligent.
Yeah,
Actually,
I won't go into that.
and I think that's a plus.
Yeah, well, you would do. Yeah. So this week there was much furore in stock markets around furore. Yes, in stock markets around the world, particularly in America, with the launch of what was it? DeepSeek.
What is this DeepSeek thing?
It's a Chinese AI basically. It's an app. It's a Chinese AI app where you can go onto it and do all the things that you can do on the apps of other AI companies, which are mainly in America and the UK and Europe. And there's been a huge uproar about the fact that DeepSeek, this Chinese one, is just as good as everybody else, even though it's come along much later, is much cheaper to use than anywhere else, and that it is not fair.
What?
And it's sort of like, why are the big AI companies, including Meta and all of these people, saying that something is not fair, that they're being copied? This is the thing, that their technologies and their services are being copied by this Chinese company, which for me is rather ridiculous, considering that the development of AI has all been about sucking up information and books and articles and films and TV programs and all of this, taking all of that data into AI so that AI can create things. So basically, most of the AI companies that are out there have already been, again, pillaging other people's work and other people's creative work, and they're now up in arms against a company doing exactly the same to them that they have done to others and doing it cheaper. And I just find it quite hilarious, really.
Well, I was listening to a programme the other day on Radio 4, and it was talking about the potential collapse of AI, because AI needs to learn from human content, human, real-made content.
Yeah.
But what's going to happen, it's going to get to a point where the AI is learning from AI.
Itself, effectively.
And there was this person, I can't remember who she was, but she was kind of like very intelligent, into all of these systems, managing AI systems. And she said eventually, if that is allowed to happen, if it's not managed, it will just collapse, and anything that AI creates will just be absolute rubbish. So yeah, interesting times, isn't it? I
think it's sort of, that sort of parallels with Chinese whispers, where someone says something and then somebody hears it and says it's somebody else, and then they don't quite get what was originally said, and it's that send reinforcements, we're going to advance. And I think that got translated, after lots of whispers, into send 3 and 4pence, we're going to a dance. I think that was Crimean War or something like that, Battle of Waterloo maybe. But yeah, there's that story, whether it's true or not, but I think that's what happens. You start...
All right, we get it.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. For me, what seems to be happening with AI is it is going to put people out of work.
Yeah.
Because we're not going to need graphic designers anymore. We're not going to need people writing stuff. It's just going to all be at your fingertips. So I think it's dangerous in that respect. In terms of it taking over the world, I think that's all a load of rubbish. I don't think it would ever do that.
Well, I think the issue is that AI is obviously being developed in the defence industry, i.e. the warmongering industry. And as soon as you have that and you start giving machines their own intelligence to do what they want based on what you've said, that's when things can go awry.
But that assumes that nobody has their systems protected. It also assumes that the AI will be so intelligent it can crack any code. which, you know, well, if that were to happen, then yes, we all need to be very worried. You know, if AI is starting to be employed by hackers
Well, of course it is.
to hack into systems
Of course
more
it is.
easily,
It is.
then that's the issue.
But when we talk about hackers, let's also understand that an awful lot of hackers are working for world governments. You know, for major countries' governments are employing hackers to hack into other countries' systems. We've seen that happen very recently in the last sort of 6 weeks.
So the main thing we should be worried about is if AI becomes self-aware
Yes,
and is then able to decide to hack into a system of
of its own accord.
That's what we need to be scared of.
Yeah, and of course we all know it is likely to happen because we've seen Terminator.
Yeah, that's
so we
right.
know what the future
That's
is.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then there was also that woman who published a book without writing something,
Yes,
wasn't
that's
there?
right. She got her friend did it for her on an AI platform, and she said the results were quite interesting, yet a little rambling, and yeah, I can't remember what she said, but yeah, I mean, you know, hey, well, welcome to the future.
Yeah.
So let's not ramble on any further about that. Let's move on to the final segment of the show, which is what have we watched on television this week. It's been quite a frugal week in terms of TV. So, Paul, we started watching the new series of The Night Manager on Netflix.
Yeah.
Now, I kind of quite enjoyed the first series, but this episode I found a bit slow.
Maybe it's because it's called Night Agent.
You said Night Manager.
Did I? I think no.
The
Night
Night
Manager is on the Night Agent.
Night Agent, sorry, the
Yeah.
Night Agent.
I
The Night
think
Manager was a different
it
show,
was a different
wasn't it?
show on BBC.
The Night Agent we're talking about.
I really enjoyed the Night Manager. He didn't, but
No.
anyway.
The Night Agent.
The Night Agent. I think we were both rather tired,
Oh, yeah.
and we both started falling asleep.
Yeah.
I don't think it was really down to the show.
Well,
I think
I
it
don't
was down
know.
to us. There was quite a lot of action to start it off with, where the first series there was quite a bit of action, but there was quite a bit of there was less running about. There was quite a lot of running about in this one, wasn't there? But we'll go back to it. We'll go back to it definitely. Yeah.
We continue with the Great Pottery Throwdown, which is on
Channel 4, which
I can't remember the last episode we watched.
it was I remember that.
What were they
I
making?
remember. I can't remember what was made. Was it the Ark? Was it the Ark?
I don't know.
They
made
did
something
make a
with
pottery
pottery.
toy at one point. We thought that's a bit bizarre because a pottery
That was
toy
the
would just
Ark.
break. Yeah,
That was the Ark.
yeah. That was a pottery toy. I can't remember what was last week, but it amazes me. The creativity of these people always amazes me, and how they are so gifted in that area of crafting. Yeah.
There's a new series of Uncanny which has started on BBC Two, which is all about supernatural. We like a paranormal supernatural, but it has to be done properly. And I don't know, it all seemed a bit too serious and slightly unbelievable.
Yeah, there sort of needs to be some tongue-in-cheek in there, and there didn't seem to be any. And also, I wasn't really sure whether the people telling the story of their paranormal experience were telling the story of their paranormal experience, or just wanted to be on TV.
You keep saying things twice. Why is that?
I don't know.
No, well, I think you
don't
need to
know.
check that, Paul.
Maybe I do.
Yeah, you do. I think you do. Definitely do. So yeah, I didn't feel as though they were particularly genuine. I kind of didn't believe the story. And, you know, I just didn't... No. And this constant looking at the camera in a weird way, I didn't get on with. Because, I mean, who does that?
Yeah,
Really?
yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I just, it didn't work for me. Dragon's Den we continue with, BBC One.
They had, was it Trini? Or Susanna?
Trini.
Is Trini on?
Trini
Who
Doodah,
was
beauty woman.
Yeah. And it was really
Beauty.
bizarre. She said something really bizarre at one point because it was an investment that was about sustainability, and Deborah, of course, who is big on sustainability, the two of them partnered up, and Trini said, I look forward to learning all about sustainability from you, Deborah. And I thought, really? Do you not actually know anything about sustainability? Because that's how the comment came across.
If you're a company owner, surely that needs to be forefront of your thinking.
I would have thought so, but it seemed that it was like, I'll be learning this new thing that I don't know anything about. But anyway. Yeah.
I don't know. I'm kind of getting a little bit tired with this constant round of the same old programmes. I don't know. I feel desperate for something new and fresh, and there doesn't seem to be anything new and fresh.
No.
On offer at the moment, which is a shame. Friday nights is generally Top of the Pops night for us. Old Top of the Pops, talking about new and fresh. But going down the nostalgia route is very often quite fun.
Yeah.
And last night we watched a couple, one from the early 80s and then one from the early 90s. And it was interesting because the early 90s was for me, a really special time. And coincidentally, I was watching an interview with Kirsty Hawkshaw of Opus 3, who were famous for the track It's a Fine Day, which was well known in, sort of rave music circles at the time. And it was a really sweet interview with her, and she was talking about that time and the vibe of that time. And however you want to look at it, whether you were into raving or not, I wasn't particularly into raving, but I was sort of into, house parties more than anything. And it just had, the whole time had a sense of freedom about it, a sense of newness, a sense of going out into the world and just doing whatever you wanted to do.
Things being exciting and
fresh.
Yeah.
And the interview that I watched was really nice, and then we watched Top of the Pops from the early 90s. And whilst there was a lot of music that was very repetitive and very basic, there was also a lot of stuff that was very interesting and very psychedelic. And
the outfits, particularly for that song, were very sort of space, weren't they, and silvery and everything.
Well, there was a whole sort of space cadet movement, of people who were just spending their weekends completely off their brains on God knows what, but having a real sense of joy about it, There wasn't this sense of, I don't know, there's a feeling of aggression now with music. There's a feeling of malice. There's a feeling of, I don't know.
I don't think that's just in music. I think that's stretching through society.
Yeah, there's a feeling of uncertainty and darkness around social stuff. I don't know. There was not that vibe in the late 80s, early 90s. It was all very peace and love. Second Summer of Love and all of that stuff, that happened. And I'm glad to have been an age where I could partake of that and actually really enjoy it. And
I'm wondering whether people who are now the age that we were then, are they actually experiencing that? Are they going to big cities and they're finding it vibrant and exciting? And do you think they are latching onto the music of now and feeling that there is a future and excitement?
I don't think young people feel like that now. I think a lot of young people feel very desperate and quite frightened. I mean, there's this whole trend of people not going out, feeling unsafe, you know, and good reason as well. There are literally feral gangs of youths trawling through certain sectors of cities, you know. I mean, look at the brazen crimes that are occurring, the thefts that are occurring, you know. It's not safe to walk down the street with your mobile phone on show, you know, or any expensive jewellery on show, frankly, because even central London, the gangs on these motorbikes are just grabbing stuff from people. So, I don't know, no.
I don't know if I've mentioned this before, but there's 3 sets of number plates in a drain outside our house.
Oh, and a person was seen putting them in.
Yeah, a person was seen. It's about maybe 2 months ago.
And the police had been told.
There was one, and then I looked a few weeks later, and there was a second set, and now there's 3 sets, and a car was being picked up. It was parked illegally, I think, and it was being picked up and towed away a couple of weeks ago, and there were a couple of police there. What do they call the constables who aren't police, but they are police.
Doesn't really matter.
Anyway, I said to them, "Oh, by the way, look down here," and they went, "Oh, right," and they phoned it in and they said, "Oh, yeah, we do know about that," but they're still there. So anyway.
Yeah, they've not done any investigation because actually they've got other stuff going on.
I have finished, just briefly, I have finished Black Doves on Netflix. Whilst Richard's been asleep at night, I've watched that, i.e. before we go to bed, he falls asleep.
I always fall asleep on the sofa.
And I've watched it, and I have to say I have enjoyed it rather a lot, mainly because of the acting and the people in it. The story is quite good, but one thing that's really funny is that London in this particular series contracts. They sort of say, "Oh, we need help in this area," and then suddenly 5 minutes later there's help, which doesn't happen in London, because getting from one area of London to another, even if they're pretty close, takes about 15 or 20 minutes minimum, and that's if there's no traffic. But yeah.
And there's just time to sandwich in Word of the Week. This is from A Word for Every Day of the Year by Stephen Poole. And I've just scanned over the word. It's very appropriate. Everything seems to be appropriate.
Synchronicity.
It's really weird. Obganiate. Obganiate. O-B-G-A-N-I-A-T-E. Obganiate. Obganiate.
No, I have no idea.
Oh, you will. There being no shortage of species of annoying person, we should renew terms that precisely define a particular kind of tedious vice, and obganiate is one of these. It means to irritate someone by repeating the same thing over and over.
I wonder who does that. I wonder who does that.
That's it.
Yeah.
Lovely. How appropriate. Thank you for watching this week's
Sunday Chat.
And take care. Toodle pip. Au revoir.
See you next week.
Bye for now.
Bye.